If you've ever heard that our nervous system actually has a few different states that it can go through depending on the subconscious perception of the environment, and you want to learn more about it, then stick around because this episode is for you. Welcome to where you are finally able to get unstuck and experience nervous system peace that is integrated into your everyday life as your new normal. Because transformation is a way of life here, and yours begins now. So according to polyvagal theory, our nervous system actually goes through three total different states. The ventral vagal, which is our safe and social, the sympathetic, which is our fight or flight, and the dorsal vagal, which is the shutdown freeze responses. So today we're going to briefly go through each phase and more specifically ways you can pull yourself out of and also gain awareness of it, because each phase will end up creating a difference on how you are going to respond to yourself. And this is especially helpful if you are one of those girlies who gets anxious trying to meditate. Your body is likely in the dorsal vagal response, which can actually sometimes overactivate and create more anxiety in the body, especially if you've never had a chance to release that pressure. The body can absolutely have these responses where it's struggling to receive the ability to be in a healing place because there's so much overwhelming energy. And then when you're asking to get the body calm and to sit still, it has so much energy that it can just sometimes explode. And so this is where you want to approach the body depending on where it's at within its internal state, because that will give you the right tools on where to start. For me, I was in a very, very heightened state. That dorsal vagal sympathetic state, I very much stayed in between. Meditation was horrible for me. I felt like a cat. I always describe it like, if you thought about like someone putting a cat in a box or something, imagine how it would react, right? It'd probably be freaking out with its claws out, just trying to get the out of there, right? Like, kind of a thing. And so like, that's really how I felt because it was so overwhelming. My body just could not handle it. I was in such a heightened state of emotions, really, because I was in that space. And a lot of clients who come to me, they find themselves in that overwhelm where they're like, yeah, it'd be cool to meditate and like, chill. But my body is like, we ain't doing that today. We're going to do. And it's overwhelming because it's like, I can't even sit and relax. I have to respond. I have to flee. I have to fight. I have to even shut down and freeze. But it's not like I'm going to stop for a second. It's a full on, I can't even function type of thing. I know I'm supposed to do the things. I could have everything written out and typed out. But if my body is in a literal freeze state, that dorsal vagal state, you will absolutely struggle no matter what stuff you have. Hey y'all, really quick, I didn't know if you knew this, but we actually have a 10-day piece of our program that is 90 days self-paced online portion, but it's free, y'all. It is free. The first 10 days is free for you to try out, see if it works, because it is meant to be used as a daily integration tool so that you can start to change your life bit by bit. It's the same program that my clients who pay me use to up-level their life. So if that sounds like something you're interested, find all the links in the description below and I'll see you over there. Unless it's completely automated, right? Like you don't have to do it, which of course that's different because you yourself are not doing it, right? I'm talking about things that you yourself are having to physically do. It is almost like a paralysis, truly. And that's where if you've ever experienced this, you're not lazy. Please understand that your body is going through such a state of overwhelm in its environment. And this is why you will often see abuse victims, things of that nature. Like I know for me, I was in my marriage, but there was months that I was like working on trying to get out, like putting everything together. Like it took me some time. I couldn't just walk out. Like it wasn't that simple because of the situation I was dealing with. I knew I had to be smarter than that. So it took me many months to put my stuff together as I was trying to prepare to leave, of which one of the things was to sell our house that we just bought. So I was able to convince my ex-husband to do that because I knew what was coming and how I was going to have to take care of everything. And some people on the external were kind of like, why'd you take so long? And I'm like, whoa, you don't understand. So if you're looking at someone who you know is in those types of situations, don't necessarily think for someone taking time to process and do things is them being lazy, especially if you know this person or this is you yourself giving yourself grace over this. Because if you are in an overwhelming situation, acting on time or, in whatever time frame people want to put on situations, whether it's abuse, whether it's straight up overwhelm, whether you are out of the situation and in that recovery period where your body is still feeling like it's there. That's the problem. People get put shame on themselves. People will shame other people because they don't realize that their body is still sensing that I'm still there where I was before. Sure, it took me time to get out and I was already checking out, but my body still said, no, we're still there. We can't relax. We're not safe. What are you doing? And so if you had a highly abusive childhood, your body could still be stuck too, until you start to get it into the place that you're able to say, no, 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 you're safe, like really safe. That's why I have you talk to yourself, because sometimes we need to be the first person to let us know that we're safe and that we can do this work and that we're able to do it. Because I was like, I've straight up told my kids, I was like, you know what? I know that I will always clap for myself, because there has been so many times in my life I was the only one clapping for myself. And that's okay, because you know what? The world is going to human. We are going to have our flaws. We're going to fail. We're not going to show up. We're going to have so many different things going on. And not necessarily like, okay, like we should tolerate it, but like to give grace to the human experience. Like it is okay at the end of the day, you know, as long as, you know, nobody's dying or anything crazy, right? Like that, it's okay at the end of the day. And that's the most important thing that we all need to realize is, in the grand scheme of things, now, of course, set boundaries and do what you need to do, you know, appropriately, but not to let it destroy everything that you're working for, not to let it devastate and be unable to move through it in a positive way that leads to growth, that leads to the leveling up of yourself and your mind and your family and everyone around you that you impact. So I say all that to say, give yourself grace. Especially if you're just starting this work, oh my gosh, yes. Because the reality is, if your body is still stuck in a state of fear, of overwhelm, if you've never processed some of your trauma, or maybe you've kind of done a little bit of talk therapy, but you've never processed it in your body, where your body holds the trauma and it holds the programming because it says, no, 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 we can't let this happen again. You'll immediately go back to that people-pleasing child who said, oh, we got to serve everybody. Everyone's got to be taken care of and quiet and happy and, you know, we'll be good, right? Let me take care of it all. Or you might have been someone who is like controlling and like dominating and overbearing and just like very abusive in that way, almost, even not necessarily like physically abusive, but like your demeanor can be so intense and like mean and cold that it is emotionally abusive. Or you could be the one that has like, you hide anytime conflict comes up, you flee, you run, you know, something like that, right? So it's like you can fall on a variety of different places in this scale and the way that your nervous system is responding, and give yourself grace. Or if you know someone who's going through this, give them grace too. Because the reality is that we have such an intense level of processing that I don't think a lot of people realize, because just COVID alone did a lot of damage that I see people, like if you ever see people still walking around with masks, like, yo, you know, and it's like, you see how much people have like been just traumatized. They've been traumatized by a variety of different factors. And so even if it was just COVID that really messed with somebody, your body might still be going through things from back then. No matter how, it's been like, what, 5 years now at the time of this recording? That's since it all started. Yeah. It's okay if that's where your body still is. It's not okay to stay there especially once you know and like you spot it and you got it. Then you have the conscious choice. Do I want to stay in this creation? Do you want to continue to co-create in this way where I am unable to fully come out of this space to step into my highest good? So really quick, I'm going to give you 2 different things to look for in which state your nervous system is in, and give you a little more awareness so that you can actually start to gain the awareness of where you're at. Because especially if you are in the dorsal vagal and you struggle with that lazy procrastinator narrative, and it's really because your body is actually in a literal freeze state, this will give you a lot of clarity and even hopefully reassurance to that and language to what's happening. And of course, this can absolutely be helpful to determine in the other states as well, so that you're able to understand what's really going on within you. So first, I want to go through some dialogues you might hear yourself feeling or saying, depending on which state you're in. And so if you're in the sympathetic state, your nervous system might be like, I have to act now. I have to, like, because that's the fight or flight, the portion, you have to react, you immediate impulsive response, right? This could even be potentially someone crashing out in that type of behavior, because if their internal something is being threatened, finances, love, future, things of that nature, they feel is being threatened, That's where you're going to see crashing out type of behavior where the person is just like losing their mind. It's wild. The dorsal vagal might sound like, why bother? I can't even breathe. I can't even function. I can't even move. So just why bother? Or it might even be, I want to do it, but my body won't let me. I can't get up, but I really want to do it. This could also be a little bit of ADHD type of thing too. So, but it isn't uncommon for people who have had some sort of trauma and stuff like that. There's a lot of different studies that are going on, a lot of different research that's coming out, linking trauma to like ADHD and things of that nature. And, even nutritional deficiencies too, as well, being linked to ADHD. And some of these also, because the body is not able to process and operate correctly on a nutritional level, then we are unable to fully be ourselves, right? And so there's a lot of research that's coming out right now in the works, but it's really interesting to see how these different things are connected with each other. And so do bear some mind, some awareness of this. No matter what state your nervous system is in, you always want to make sure that you are giving yourself proper hydration, feeding good foods, get off the processed foods that have lots of sugar or carbs, things like that are like really overwhelming for your body to process, because our organs and stuff get bogged down. And so yes, you might have the dorsal vagal state that you are truly in. There could be some other ones specifically with this one, which is why I'm talking about it, because this one can have a few different caveats that could be going on, especially if you struggle with like PTSD, anything that's related to trauma and things of that nature. Because of the trauma and where our bodies are living, we can stay in this dorsal vagal, but be like, oh, it's just procrastination or whatever shame label we want to put on it to try to like make ourselves get motivated, because that does not work. If you are truly in a dorsal vagal state, that does not work. So try to think about it if you find yourself in this one, because it can be really helpful to like come at it. And it might be a variety of things. It may not be one thing. It could be a few different things that are taking place at once that your body is trying to process and able to really understand how to help yourself once you kind of gain some clarity on like what's really taking place. So the last one is the ventral state. And this is where your body says like, like I can breathe, I'm nice and calm. We're good. So of course it'll show up in a variety of things. Hopefully after my meditations, at the end of all my episodes on this podcast, that's the whole point of doing them, is to kind of help integrate the lesson and also give your body the ability to breathe, to relax, to hopefully come back to that state, because then you can really process the detailed information I just gave you. So I promise there's always a method to my madness, even if some of my stuff seems a little bit much, a little long, whatever it looks like to your opinions. I promise there is absolutely a reason backed by science. So with that being said, sorry, I love to geek out shamelessly. I'm not sorry that I love to shamelessly geek out over this stuff, because it really is super cool at the fact that we can actually prove so much of how to hack our bodies, our minds, our systems, which is actually how I live my life the way I do, because I learned all this to help me and my family. And then of course, work and everything led me back to going to school formally. And then I learned more and all that stuff, right? But this stuff initially, the very basis of it started with the fact that I chose me, and I chose to come back to who I was created to be, not the shell of the version of who I was because of what had happened to me, but that I deserve to be fully and completely healed. I deserve to have me back, because I deserve that. Absolutely. Just like you deserve it too, to have yourself back, to find yourself again. If you've had some shit happen to you where you have lost yourself as well, and you're still struggling to get there, and if that's you, then this content is made just for you, because I wish I had my content when I was first starting out, because I had to take my pieces from a million different ways and bring it in. And so hopefully my content is super condensed for you. That makes it very easy to uptake and implement into your life so that you are able to live your best life. So now that we know how to recognize what state we are in, I want to give you a quick tip on how to help address your body and the sensations depending on the state you are in. If you are in the sympathetic state, which today's meditation attached to this video is actually meant for people in this state, because you want to move your body, you want to shake, you want to sprint, something. So today's meditation is a walking meditation. I want you to get outside, ideally, if you can, treadmill, elliptical, whatever it is, but move your body. Because if you are in that fight or flight state, your body is ready to move, ready to go. Let's do it, right? So I want to help your body ease back into that parasympathetic state where you are out of that fighting and fleeing state, but back to that calm and rested. So don't forget to listen to that at the end of the day. Your dorsal, so this is your freeze response. I want you to stretch or hum. You can even sing a little bit if that feels good, but humming activates the throat chakra and this whole energy center through your heart, and it just really recalibrates your body. Remember, energy is everything that we see around us, and we respond to healing energy. Well, fun fact, we as humans can create energy and vibrations, acoustic, that is healing, just like the organs in the old cathedral churches. They stopped building at the end around 1900s and here in America. But they had those big domes that the organs would be in. Well, they would play the keys. And based on research I've done, that was part of some of the healing aspects of the church and how they would literally energy heal through the music they would play, because of the way the acoustics hit the ceilings and how it was meant to reverberate through the entire building and feel it and just receive all of the beautiful healing energy through God's house. And so it's amazing the different technologies that have unfortunately been suppressed and destroyed in a lot of cases, but thankfully a lot of it made so that we have a deeper understanding of how we can heal even through ourselves. So if you find yourself in that freeze state, hum, stretch, connect. That's really the biggest thing, is to help your body feel so safe in its environment so that it can come out of that state and into the sympathetic state where we can actually be calm. Now, the ventral, this is something that I want to encourage you to implement when you are stepping into something that you enjoy doing, a hobby, but something a little bit quieter, like maybe painting, something that is maybe a crossword puzzle, something that's not necessarily stationary and like stagnant, but where you're not doing a lot of moving around, like you'd be exercising or playing a game or something like that, like a field game or something. But a board game would be a great idea, something like that. When you are doing that, I want you to get completely present and just be mindful of the moment. And it helps your body soften, because that's the thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for your body to soften into something that you thoroughly enjoy, because this is something you want to feed your soul with so that you are able to really just lean into that soft, beautiful energy of pure relaxation and safety and comfort and oneness with yourself and, of course, our creator. And of course, anybody else who happens to be in the space with you. By being able to get present and actually doing it with people who are in the area with you, especially if you have children, this is something I actually do. It's a hack of mine. Because if your child is a little bit dysregulated, you can actually co-regulate them through this technique of being completely present with them. I will actually oftentimes put my palm on my children's sternum and put my other hand like right on their spine, just like not hard, I'm not pressing, I'm just gently touching. And I will just get very present. I will get so present in my body that I make my kids shift. It is the coolest thing, but that's literally what my research in my dissertation shows, is that we can do this type of stuff. And it is so powerful, and it's amazing. This body God created us to have, these human bodies that are so stupidly complex, but in the most amazing way. We can do these things with our kids once we are completely present with ourselves and how we decide to show up, and we learn the skills. Like, my kids will just literally shift really quick. It's awesome. So I hope and pray you're able to establish that connection with yourself and your understanding, because it's a beautiful blessing, honestly, even if it's just be with the people around us that we love. So I hope you found today's episode helpful. Don't forget to check out that meditation, and I'll catch y'all next time. Now go do great things, y'all.